Well, I hope you enjoy this one because I'm going to talk about, are there 50 genders or more? Talking about the biblical vision of human beings being male and female. In the book of Genesis, the scripture describes God creating humanity, and he says male and female he created them. In the image of God he created them. The biblical vision, I'll just lay it out on the front end here, means that men and women are created differently in order to do different things. Men, because they're physically strong, they have more upper body strength. They work the land and provide for the family that way. They build the buildings, and a lot of them engage in a trade. We learn from Proverbs 31 that women can do too, so I want to say that first of all. And then they protect. Men have testosterone. That's a hormone that makes folks aggressive, men aggressive, and so they defend the home, and channeling that aggression to defend the weak and the helpless is a good thing, and defend society too, as police and military folks do. Women, obviously, their bodies are different. They are made by God to bear children, and then nurture them, and then they are also to engage in those activities that God calls them to in Proverbs 31. It can be buying and selling land, engaging in commerce, doing all those kinds of things that they want to do. The question, though, is this. Is this model of male and female an antiquated relic of the benighted past? Is it toxic patriarchy? Is it true that males and females are just equal in every way, and that we can be gender fluid and pick whatever gender we want because that's what we think we are, completely detached from any physical basis in the universe or in physical reality? Or, and this would be my contention, is there an immutable reality woven into the fabric of the universe, into the bodies and souls of men and women, that reveals plainly that men and women are different? And not just different, beautiful. Further, is this difference desirable, a thing of beauty and even wonder? I believe that the biblical vision is correct, and that the physical universe itself is in harmony with the biblical vision. The same God who inspired Scripture is the same God who created this whole universe. So first of all, let me say that our bodies are different. There are over 500 discernible differences in the anatomical, physiological makeup of males and females. Even our bones are different. Archaeologists can dig up a site, grab a femur bone, the biggest bone in the human body, and they can tell you whether it's a male femur or a female femur. Of course, the pelvic girdle is very different because women cradle babies in their bodies that way. But even the rest of the skeletal structure is different. Male skulls larger than female skulls, for example. The organs, obviously the reproductive organs are different, but others too. A typical male has 1/3 more lung capacity than a typical female. Muscles, men have more arm strength, shoulder strength, and upper back strength, the famous upper body strength of the man. And so that's a difference. And the women have more muscle strength in their lower bodies. Now we get to the endocrine system and the hormone mix. Males are governed more by testosterone. That's the aggressive hormone. And if it's not checked, it makes men toxic and evil, and that's where you get complaints about toxic masculinity. But makes men bad. But it's not that masculinity is bad, it's just that they behave badly. The idea is not to make men less male, but to make them good, to channel that aggressive, protective impulse into something that's good for this culture. It's necessary, I would believe. That way, we have guys that'll go into high-risk situations like firemen or whoever going into a burning building, police, military, those kinds of things traditionally have devolved to men. Not to say that women can't do them, but these roles are usually for the guys. The women are governed more by estrogen. They are predisposed by God in the creation for nurture and care. They also have the ability, and I'll get to this in just a minute, women's brains the hemispheres communicate better with each other than male brains. And so women are very good at gathering consensus, and therefore a lot of times, sorry fellas, but a lot of the times the women come up with wiser decisions than the guys do. So let's talk about the brain. There's an anatomical structure in the brain that's different between male and female. It's called corpus callosum. It sits beneath the cerebral cortex, but it's that part of the brain that connects the right hemisphere to the left hemisphere. The left hemisphere is usually more about focus and attention and factoring out everything and going deep into an issue or a task and getting it done. And it's less creative that way. It's all about organization and all of those kinds of things. The right hemisphere is more about language, being adept at language, creativity, getting the big picture, more about feeling the feelings of other people around. And so that predisposes females to synthesize both facts and feelings and get the big picture in a way that men typically cannot do. The male corpus callosum is smaller, and that typically means that males cannot do the consensus building and the consensus awareness that women have, but they can give deeply focused attention to a task at hand. One's not better than the other, it's just that they're different. And when you put men and women together, being wired in their brains differently, it results in a good thing. So we need to celebrate that. Every man and every woman is beautiful in their own way. These differences are not culturally derived. They're not part of an idea that we had. The point I'm making here is that the differences are grounded in physical reality. The universe simply runs that way. And the differences are not to be suppressed. They are actually to be celebrated. The current trend of saying that I can create a gender out of whatever idea is in my head that doesn't conform with reality, that kind of ideation, I'm going to say it and maybe get into trouble here, but I think it's delusional because we are created a certain way. And if my mind says something that reality doesn't bear out, then we got a problem. The universe is a stubborn thing. Truth is a stubborn thing, and no amount of alternate ideation can change the provable fact that men and women are different. Now, let me say two things. There are some folks who actually do suffer from gender dysphoria. There are hermaphroditic people, all of that. We need to support them. They're still made in the image of God, for goodness sake. They deserve the same love, respect, dignity, and care that anybody else walking around does. The human being in God's vision is a beautiful thing. Even like me, when I'm wrong, God still loves me. Same thing with you and anybody else. 2, there's no stereotypical way to be a man. I mean, where we get into trouble is when a little boy is born into a family and dad usually wants the kid to be a football player, but like me, he would rather go do music and art. And so there's no one way to be a guy. It's not that this guy's less masculine, he's just masculine in a different way. Some girls are really girly. My granddaughters are just girly beyond belief, but my daughter, she's not so girly, not interested in that. Both are women, both are female anyway, and both are beautiful in whatever way that they want to be female. And they're all, I know, I'm a dad and a granddad, they're all amazing. They're just wonderful. So, but what's concerning though to me is that this trend towards transgender doesn't take into account the sort of baseline differences between male and female. Here we have to face that we are perfectly free to have the surgeries, to cut things off or to put things in. We can do that. We have the technology for that. And we can take regular injections of hormones and change our endocrine system. But I'm going to ask you this question. Will these physical changes result in what I believe are some psychological change problems? Will men actually become women, and will women actually become men? Now, everyone deserves acceptance, and so everyone should have the dignity to do whatever they want to do. But I just want to ask the question, is that a good idea? Now that we've been doing sex change operations for some years now, there's a growing community of folks who have regretted that decision. Now, here's another thing. Is this gender fluidity good for the culture? I would hold up that girls especially are suffering because you have Title IX sports, you know, boys activities and girls activities, boys sports and girls sports. Girls competed against girls, and now that boys can say, I identify as a girl, they can join a girls sports team, and they, because of their physical makeup that's immutable, they do better. They can run faster and do sports better than typically than women because they're more muscular and bigger. And little girls are being denied the opportunity to excel in sports, and some of them are being denied athletic scholarships in colleges because the boys beat them out. They identified as a girl, but they are boys. It's not good for the girls. Furthermore, let's talk about marriage and diversity. Diversity is very much in the air these days. God designed marriage as a bond between a man and a woman. That is about as diverse as you can get in any kind of human situation. God's idea that diversity at this most elemental level of human relationship is a good thing. It is beautiful. So we embrace diversity. When children are raised with male and female parents, they benefit from the gifts each brings to the family. Their differences are to be celebrated. The diversity is actually beautiful. This familial diversity is good for the kids because they're going to grow up into a world populated by both males and females, and learning to deal with each as they are is a good thing. It makes the world a better place. It seems to me that God's plan, the universe and the created order of male and female, is best because it's true. It's best because male-female differences are actually good and beautiful for all of us. It's the way the world was created. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's the way that's best.